Welcome back. In this video, we are going to take a look at how you can set up OpenFaas on your CentOS machine. And OpenFaas or OpenFaas, as some would pronounce it, is basically going to allow you to create serverless functions. And there is a different pricing tier, Community Edition, Standard, and Enterprise. And we are going to go through basically the documentation to set it up. And you may ask, what is OpenFaas? It's basically an open source alternative to AWS Lambda or Azure Functions. And basically that's it. So when you are talking about AWS Lambda or Azure Functions, you usually don't have a per se infrastructure that would allow you to execute function calls. In this case, what happens is that you deploy the K3s on your CentOS machine, configure OpenFaas to use this lightweight Kubernetes, and you also need Docker to be installed. So let's jump right into it. First, what we have to do is to acquire sudo prompt and yum install the yum utils and git. So once this installation is complete, what we have to do is to add the Docker repository, the community edition, and we also have to install Docker. So basically, this is the command. I will create a GitHub gist, and you will find every single command that I have copy-pasted. So currently, we are at the phase of setting up our infrastructure, so to speak, that allows us to deploy these functions to the lightweight Kubernetes and invoke them. And now we can use the systemctl enable now Docker. And if you issue Docker PS, you can see Docker is installed. Now, here comes the fun part. So we have to install K3s. And it has this one-line installer, which is going to take care of everything for us. And once the installation is complete, we will have a K3s service running on our CentOS machine. And let's drink some coffee. So let's check the systemctl status K3s. It seems to be running, and the K3s kubectl get node should show us that the node is ready. So now what we have to do is to install the Faas CLI and the OpenFaas as well. So we can install with the help of Arcade, which is a pretty nice tool. So get arcade.dev, and it's arcade.dev. So it's basically a way for you to manage your developer tools on your machines. It's an abstraction layer, so to speak. And now we can use Arcade to install the Faas CLI. And what we can do is either test it with this command, or we can also make it globally available by moving it to the user local bin. Now we need to check our configuration and make sure we save it under the kube-config folder. And then we can issue the Arcade install OpenFaas. And after the installation completes, we should be able to continue with our deployment. So we have a command which should check the status of the deployments. And it should finish in some minutes. So kubectl get deployments -n OpenFaas. So as you can see now, our deployment is somewhat complete, and we can verify that the gateway was successfully rolled out. So now we can create our port forwarding. So kubectl port forward -n OpenFaas service gateway and port 8080 to 8080, and we use the ampersand sign. So now the port forwarding is active and it's running behind in the background process, and we can check the deployment status of our OpenFaas as well. And as you can see, they are still up and running. So if we scroll up here, we will find a line which is kind of relevant for us. And it is supposed to be here somewhere. So arcade, FAAS CLI, and this is going to be the one. So we need to grab a password, and this is kind of the command for that. And we also have to log in to FAAS CLI as well. So let's go there and log in. So echo, and it was saved for the admin credentials, and we have to use the docker login command and then visit the browser or this link in the browser. Let me copy and paste it for you, and we have to enter this activation code. So when you are using the open source or community edition of OpenFaas, what you have to do is to make sure that your functions can only be deployed with the help of public container images. And that's the reason why we have to log in to Docker. And if I go ahead and use the docker.com and sign in, you will see that these are my containers. Wow, these are really old containers. So I don't use Docker that much, but technically now the FAAS CLI completed, and we can use the FAAS CLI template pull. And as you can see, we have 15 templates, and these are all coming from a Git repository. Let's visit that Git repository. All right, so these are all templates for all the different programming languages that are supported. And what we have to do is to pull the Python version. So FAAS CLI template pull store pull Python 3 HTTP. And as you can see, it fetched 5 templates. And we have the Flask Debian, Flask, HTTP Debian, and so on. And now what we can do is to create a directory called demo. And if we navigate to that demo directory, we can issue the Faas CLI new lang Python 3 dash HTTP and Python function. So this is going to be the template that we are using, and this is going to be our function name. And we have to make sure that the appropriate number of A's is used. So no templates found in the current directory, and it has successfully fetched. What? What does it mean? Python 3 HTTP. Why was it unable to pull it? So we have template list. OpenFaas. Oh, facilitate template store list. And yeah, so here we have the Python 3 HTTP that we want to use. Was not found in the template directory. All right. So here we have the documentation part for creating functions, and there is a process which is which consists of build, push, and deploy. So build refers to building our container image. Push refers to pushing that image to the Docker hub. And deploy means we deploy that image to the K3s instance we have. And here we have PQRST. So Python 3 HTTP and here we have, oh, hold on, inside the template, the Python 3 HTTP. So now you can see that we have the basically the function, the index.py, and the requirements file. Let's see what we have in the Python 3 folder. So here we have a similar structure, and CLE OpenFaas Python 3 function. So Python Flask, store pull, and this is going to be it. Cool. And now what we can do is to basically navigate to the Python 3 HTTP. And we have the index.py, and we also have the Python function. First Python function, there we go. So we have installed it. Oh, lang Python. Ha, I don't want that one. So let's do this with the Python 3, and we call this Python function. Great. ls-l, and here we can remove the template folder, and here we have our Python function folder, and here we have the handler, which is going to be basically the definition of our function. And in order to deploy it, what we can do is the following. We can either say that we want to use the FAAS CLE app -f python function.yaml, but there is going to be a problem, because the Python function .yaml should be edited, and here the image name should be my account, or prefixed with my account. So let's try to run the app command once again and wait for it to complete. So currently it is pushing the Python function to the public repository of Docker. And it was deployed. So let's see what happens when we use the CURL here. Handling can't reach Python function. Good. So function, and let's deploy it. Deployed, accepted, great. So now we should be able to use the OpenFaas and simply use the FAAS CLI invoke Python function. Python function OpenFaas. It cannot be reached. Foreground. Control Z. Background. All right. So how do we go from here? Can't reach service for Python function. So we have the handler. You said hello python.yaml. Let's build the first one. So FAAS CLI build -f python function.yaml, and then it was also tagged, and we can use the Docker images grep python function, and this is the latest Python function, and we can use the FAAS CLI -f push -f python function.yaml, and then we should be able to deploy it. So Python FAAS CLI deploy. Cool. So now FAAS CLI list shows us that there is a Python function, and then we should invoke the hello on the FAAS CLI invoke Python function. And there is an error. So let's investigate. Python function And what we want to do here is to check the handler. So there is a request body, and based on the documentation, we have the hello Python, hello you said. So let's use the hello you said and use an F string to pass the requests. And here, let's check the init. And let's check the requirements. So Python 3 is the Python function, but that was appropriately created. So let's use the app so that we rebuild the image, push it, and deploy it. If it's not working, then we are going to check the logs for the container. So docker ps kubectl and -- help. So logs get deployments -n OpenFaas and get node. Good. And we should be able to use the kubectl get logs. Logs. And we are going to specify the pods. So alert manager, nuts, Prometheus. So now let's try to invoke it. Can't reach. What's the Faas CLI -- help list and logs. Writing log, and let's see. SSH centos 9 sudo su, and we are going to try to invoke it. So apparently we cannot even reach the function. So vi Python function YAML handler it should be the handler.py hello Python let's see with the CURL Python function country service sudo systemctl stop firewalld. Ha! So let's say, or let's assume that this one was done or technically corrected before. So let's investigate a little bit. What if I say that I want to modify my Python function, and I say that I want to edit the handler, and I say that I want to change it so it imports the request module, and what I want to do is to create a check. So result is requests.get URL is equal to request. So this would be the data that we pass, and the response would be the status of the URL is, and we say result.status code. So now what we have to do also is to use the requirements file and say that the requests module has to be installed. So now what we have to do is to basically rebuild our function, and we can use the FAAS CLI app function with the -f for the Python function. And now the FAAS CLI list shows that the Python function is there. And if I go there and I say that the URL is https://google.com, then it is going to return that the status of the URL is google.com. So technically, this is how you can deploy and use functions with the help of your OpenFaas and K3s on a CentOS machine. And we have the folder structure, so Python function and so on. And this allows us to further experiment or modify this one. That was all. See you in the next one.